It seems like ever since Zombies Chronicles 1 released back in May of 2017, the Zombies community has been waiting on a second one. There have been thousands of supposed leaks, release dates, in-game screenshots, and map counts in the last few years, but clearly none of them have come true yet. And I don't really want to throw around accusations of people faking leaks or anything, because that's a rabbit hole I don't even want to touch, but what I want to talk about today is a simple question. Will we ever see a second Zombies Chronicles? And on top of that, should we ever actually see one? And when I asked you guys on Twitter what you guys think, are we ever actually gonna get one, you guys were pretty split on it. The majority seemed to say yes, but there was a surprising amount of people saying that we didn't actually think we were gonna see one. But let's tackle the first part of this question before we get too ahead of ourselves though. In order to understand all of this, we need to think back to May of 2017 and the climate not just around zombies, but the entire Call of Duty franchise. As some of you know already, Infinite Warfare did not sell well, and that's just a fact, and the community was largely negative towards the game, or lukewarm at best, even before release day. This is clearly reflected in the reveal trailer for Infinite Warfare having 3.9 million dislikes as compared to some of the other reveals for Call of Duty games that typically get anywhere between 10 and 50,000 dislikes. And seemingly because of this, Activision bundled in Call of Duty 4 Remastered with the game if you bought the hardened edition, and later on in the year they made it available as a separate purchase. That means we effectively had two Call of Duty games being worked on and played by the player base at the same time in 2016 and early 2017, which at the time was genuinely unheard of. Call of Duty up to that point had always been a game where it gets released, it has a 4 DLC season, and then the next game is released and the old one is just completely forgotten about, maybe aside from one update for stability here and there. And I'm not 100% certain of this, but to me and everyone else at the time, it seemed as if Call of Duty 4 Remastered was bundled to meet Activision pre-order and sale numbers so that their stock prices didn't fall at their next shareholders meeting. They seemed genuinely scared, and rightfully so, because Infinite Warfare was not performing well and they knew they needed to bring up those numbers somehow. Activision is a company at the end of the day, and they have shareholders who don't give a shit about the game that you are getting. All those people care about is seeing a rising stock price on their balance sheets. That's the hard truth of it. Activision themselves clearly do care about making a good game, if for no other reason than just making a successful game means more sales and more money. But their shareholders straight up do not care, and if they're not meeting the pre-order numbers and the sales figures and the monetary values that they were promised, then they're going to get upset and that stock price is going to fall and Activision's going to lose money. So now that that's established, I know that Zombies Chronicles has been worked on at least a little bit since around the time of Gorod Krovi's release, which was in June of 2016, a few months after the reveal of Infinite Warfare. I think you can see where this is going, can't you? Without any hard proof to back this up whatsoever, this is entirely speculation. I think Activision saw the writing on the wall for Infinite Warfare and told their other studios to begin working on essentially backup projects to keep the franchise from floundering and keep stock prices from falling. My feeling is that they thought Call of Duty 4 Remastered wouldn't perform as well as it did, but by the time they got the numbers in on that, Zombies Chronicles was at least a good portion completed, and they decided to finish it anyway because they could just release it at any time during the year for a bit of extra exposure, some extra sales, and it would look like a feel-good community event. Because that's the thing with pre-order numbers. Sometimes there's a lot of pre-orders and then people cancel them after the beta, so they're not entirely certain how a game is going to perform, especially since they never really released a game alongside of another. They had done maps before, but those weren't really consequential like it would be with an entire game being remastered. But from here, Zombies Chronicles was released on May 16th of 2017, right in the middle of the second financial quarter of the year, right when post-launch sales and players on the base game is going down, and especially with Infinite Warfare not performing well to begin with, you can kind of see what happened here. Maybe I'm a bit of a cynic, but I believe that Zombies Chronicles was developed to bump a stock price and keep investors happy. It's the same reason that the Giant was a pre-order bonus for Black Ops 3. It's because they need to meet certain financial numbers at all times, and they hold off some of the content that we really want to see the most as a community in case they ever really need to reach that number. Because as I said earlier, Activision is a company. They know what we like. They know better than we do what we actually enjoy. So of course they're going to hold off the big money makers for when they need to get pre-orders up, for when they need more sales, for when they just want to make a quick buck. For whatever they need to do, they're going to wait until the opportune time. They also need to see growth over time. They don't want to push out too many things at once and push their stock price too high, or just have too many things coming out and then maybe they all don't deliver, or it goes too many at one time and they don't have enough for later on when they also need it. Content needs to be staggered, and I think that's sort of what's been happening here. And so where does that leave us now? Well, Call of Duty looks a lot different these days than it did back then. Currently, we have Modern Warfare still being slowly developed, Warzone has become the biggest blowaway success in Call of Duty history, Cold War is still performing well, and COD Mobile is growing month over month. Call of Duty as a whole is in a much better place to where if they need to bump a stock price, then they'll have something cool happen in Warzone, which has a much bigger player base than Zombies or multiplayer does. And Zombies also really only has a few maps left to remaster before the good old days really are all remastered, and it seems kind of pointless and you lose a bit of value at that point. And they've blown through so many of them in the last couple of years that they only have a few left to cash back in on. That brings me to my opinion on this whole thing. Will we see a Zombies Chronicles 2? I don't think that unless something catastrophically bad happens to Warzone and the COD franchise where Activision needs to basically hit the fucking panic button as quick as they can, I don't think we're going to see a Chronicles 2 anytime soon. They'll most likely hold on to these maps for when they need extra pre-orders or use them to fit into the Dark Aether storyline similar to what they did with D Machine. I tried to stay away from in-game hints or leaks because those can literally be changed on the fly, and there's so much differing just information and opinions out there. There's absolutely a possibility that the assets or the entire remastered maps are just on some hard drive somewhere, but unless Treyarch gets a green light from Activision, then we won't see them, and right now I don't think they have a reason to do it when it could be saved for a rainy day. Now for the second part of the question of should we see a Zombies Chronicles 2? I pretty much think one of the most hype points, if not the most hype points in the entire Zombies community's history when Zombies Chronicles 1 released. That's a moment in time we can all really look back upon fondly and we all have great memories of, but at the same time we can only really have so many of those, and with Cold War performing fairly well, I would say overwhelmingly people like D Machine. If they haven't been playing it in the last month or so, then I don't think that's a true reflection of how good the map actually is. Because on launch, I think it blew away everyone's expectations. It did incredible on YouTube, it did incredible on Twitch. I think that the sales were great. I think that overall it was a great success. So for them to release a Zombies Chronicles, it probably won't happen in the middle of Cold War's life cycle. I just don't think that would be a thing, because they probably want to get the Dark Aether storyline established, and then maybe later on down the line, just throw in all the old Black Ops 2 maps that would be in the Zombies Chronicles 2. That would also all depend on how the next game goes, because if all the next games just keep doing well and they don't need to bump a stock price, then they just straight up won't release it. There's no reason for them to try to pull players from their new game when they just have this new game performing well. Why would they want us to go back to the old one where they're not going to make as much money on? And as I said a few minutes ago, they'll probably just hold on to everything until they need to release them one at a time or for a pre-order. But should we get a Zombies Chronicles 2? As a Zombies fan, I think we should, but are we going to? Probably not. It's difficult. It really is. I would love to see it, and I think that everyone would like to, but like I said, it's a company, and at the end of the day, they know what we like, and they know how to bleed us. And some part of me would also really appreciate if they could just one at a time bring those maps back into the fold, sort of like what they did with D Machine and Nocturne and Toten, and really transform them into something better than they were before. Rather than just a straight up remaster and it just, oh, it looks good, I would like them to actually have a purpose nowadays. So I'm fine with holding off for, one map at a time over the next couple of years. That's fine with me. Obviously though, this is all my opinion. Like I said, there's no absolute hard facts here, but I did just look at things from an objective point of view, and I wanted to kind of share my opinion on that. What do you guys think? Would you like to see a Zombies Chronicles 2? and do you think it's going to happen? While you're down there though, I would really appreciate a subscribe. You know, it means a lot to me. I would also appreciate a like. Yeah, follow me on Twitter, by the way. You guys saw the Twitter poll. I talk about a lot of zombie stuff. I just kind of shitpost on there too. But thank you guys for watching. I love you. See you in Firebase Z. Bye-bye.